Hello everyone, and welcome back to another unboxing video. Today is a very special one because we're going to be unboxing this thing. This is the Thomas and Friends Engine Celebration Pack. It features a bunch of models from the new 80th anniversary line. If you've seen my merch hunt videos, you know how much I was looking for these. So let's open this up and see what engines are in here. That's some very strange artwork. Like, it looks like a merger between CGI Thomas and AG Thomas. Also, I can't tell if this is AI. It doesn't really look like it, but I feel like it could be. Because there's no way they animated this, right? This has to just be AI. Also, because it looks like the engines are proportionate to the models in this set, so I think maybe they just threw the models into AI and this is what they came up with. I don't know. But anyway, here are the models. Oh, yeah. Looking at these, I'm really excited. So, let's pull this little plastic sheet out. The instructions. If you need all the legal stuff, which I do not, so this is a nice little playmat, but we are just gonna pretend that this box doesn't exist anymore. We're just gonna over my shoulder, and here are the models. I think I'm going to split this up into two different segments. So I have the, assuming that this is going to take me a while to talk about each one, because I do have some comparisons to make to these as well. I'm thinking I'll split this up into two videos. First video, I'll talk about Thomas and Percy, and then in the second video, I'll talk about Gordon, James, and Henry. We'll see. We'll see how I have limited time to do this, so we'll see what ends up happening. But let's just get started and see how far we get. All right. Here is the first engine. Thomas. Oh, yeah. Thomas looks really good in this line. Like, I think his proportions are dead accurate. Like, a lot of Thomas merch doesn't have these types of proportions, but I'm really proud. I'm really happy with this. Like, the fact we have CGI Thomas merch at all nowadays is like actually amazing to me. Some people have criticized this. Some people whose names start with S and end with Sodor Productions, but I don't tend to listen too much to what those people have to say. I tend to form my own opinion, and my opinion is this thing is pretty nice. Like, I think this is the closest we've actually gotten to Thomas's scaling in the motorized line. Like, this looks accurate to Thomas's proportions. It's when we get to some of the later ones that maybe they don't so much. But I think Thomas is a solid start. Like, look at this and tell me it is not accurate and beautiful. So, I have a bunch of models for comparison for Thomas. He's easily the biggest comparison segment that I have for today, because I have a lot of things I really want to compare to this to. Firstly, let's just get this out of the way. Here's me standing alongside him. I heard these things are really big, but I mean, it looks like he's only a bit bigger than me. Like, I'm not crazy, am I? He is, like, only a little bit bigger, right? Well, we'll see, though. So, now let's bring in the one everyone has probably been waiting for. Here's my standard player Thomas. And you can see the size difference here. Now, obviously, this Thomas doesn't have the white running board. I think there is one that does have a white running board, but yeah, this one doesn't. You can see the proportions more accurately. Like, this Thomas has always kind of felt a little bit too long and a little bit too short. So, this Thomas feels like a happy medium. It's still long, but they made up for that by making him taller. Obviously, I'm always going to prefer model series faces, so this is probably this is easily the better Thomas for me. But I could see someone saying that this one's better. Like, I think proportions-wise, it probably is. Like, you could just see. Like, it doesn't have the elongated cap that this one does. My only real critique with the visual of this is this big, bulky red switch on the back. It kind of messes with the proportions. At least with these guys, the switch is like almost the same color as the body, and it's small and it doesn't distract. But with this, it's just a giant bulky eyesore on the back of the model. Like, I don't know. It's not horrible, though. It's just a little detracting. So let's move you aside. Here's a later Trackmaster Thomas. I actually just got this today, so I could do a better comparison. I think it's the 2012. Let me have a... Well, the shell says 2009, but I'm pretty sure... I'm almost certain this didn't exist in 2009. Anyway, so it's basically CGI Trackmaster Classic Thomas versus Mattel's 80th Anniversary Thomas. I think these two are a smidge more comparable. Like, because they're both like CGI Thomases, and I think they have basically the same amount of detail. Again, this one has more similar proportions to this Thomas, but still, it's... yeah. Now let's compare it to this Thomas. I know this isn't a regular Trackmaster 2 Thomas, but I don't have one on hand. This was we're just gonna have to deal with the CGI Muddy Thomas for this comparison. It's basically, though, the Trackmaster 2 Thomas. It has the same proportions as a Trackmaster 2 Thomas. And I think these two are also really comparable because, you know, one, they're both basically the same type of thing. This is when Mattel started doing the grippy wheels, as I call them. Like, they have the spikes on them. Previous versions of Thomas have the traction tires, the treads, like this. This version of Thomas and this guy right here, and a few of the other, and another one that we're going to look at in a minute, have these other tires and have these spiky tires, and they don't freewheel anymore, so they just freaking Clixie McGee over here. We're done with this guy. Actually, I think one comparison I really wanted to do, and actually we'll get to that in a minute. This one is probably the most comparable. This is the AEG. This is basically the AEG Thomas. I don't have a regular one, so we're just going to have to deal with the muddy variant. But it's basically the reboot, the AEG reboot Thomas. These guys are pretty comparable in terms of size. Like, you can see, like, height-wise, this Thomas is more proportionally accurate to this Thomas. So, yeah, there is a little bit of a size difference. But also, like, this Thomas... Excuse me. This Thomas right here is undeniably better. Because, like, the devil is in the detail. And I mean, they're both really accurate to what they're trying to portray, but this Thomas is undeniably better, I'd say. Unless your name starts with an S and ends with Sodor Productions. Now, a more comparable... now, one of the more comparable examples that I have here is comparing this Thomas to this guy. Playrail's 80th Anniversary Thomas, the Railway Series Special Face Variant version. It's kind of funny how both lines depict quote-unquote classic Thomas, but one of them is Railway Series and the other one is CGI. I think that's the one thing I agree with a certain other user about, is this Thomas isn't really classic, it's CGI, but at the same time, it still has the proportions you'd expect. And again, CGI Thomas was still basically the same as the model, so we're getting, we got something close enough. Like, I think you guys can probably guess which one of these two I personally lean towards in terms of which one is a better representation of the 80th Anniversary Thomas. My vote easily goes to this guy right here. Just the fact that this exists at all is masterful, but this Thomas doesn't do a bad job. Put you over there. And I have two more little comparisons to do. These are very much so not comparable, but it just felt wrong not to include them. We have the CGI push along and the AEG push along. Ignore the fact that this one has a devious face. I did that myself. these guys are definitely not comparable when it comes to scaling. Like, you can tell these guys are much smaller than this Thomas, but still, it's pretty good, I'd say. Proportions are alright. One is definitely smaller than the other, but I'd say that in terms of proportions, this one kind of feels like this one. However, this one has the benefit in the fact that this one has the smaller cab, which is not accurate. This one is definitely more proportionally accurate, but so yeah, I think that's gonna do it for the comparisons to this Thomas. I'll get some batteries in him later and we'll run him. But first, let's talk about the other engine for this video, because I think I am going to save Gordon, James, and Henry for the next video. Let's talk about Percy. I haven't seen too many people talk about Percy. Like, the ones I usually see people talk about are the 3-packs for Thomas, James, Gordon, and Scotsman. But, Percy here. He looks pretty good. Oh, one thing I didn't mention about this Thomas is the side rods. Like, there's more detail on them than the previous side rods. However, the problem with Percy is that he uses the same side rods, so the detail that shouldn't be there is there. Also, I kind of would prefer if he had like the valve gear that Gordon has, but we'll talk about that later when we get to Gordon in the other video. I think the tank engines look the best in this line. Everyone has said this, but I think the tank engines in this line lend themselves to this scaling just a little better because they're more proportionally accurate. Like, look at the big fat tanks on Percy. I will argue he maybe looks a little too big, but I guess again, he scales with Thomas, I'm pretty sure. Actually, Percy's longer, which shouldn't be the case. So, I only have 2 comparisons for Percy. First one is my Player L CGI Percy. I think the proportions on this Percy are better, but this one's not bad either. Player L Percy just has more detail. I mean, obviously, right? Like, Japan is good at that stuff. They're good at adding details to their engines. But I mean, Intel tried. You can't say they didn't. Now, actually, while I have Percy on the scene, let me just bring in a different Player L Percy. This is the shocked face Percy. This is what I would say this is what I would call classic, because it has the shocked expression. I think it just overall looks better. But, you know, still not bad. I would this Percy is not bad, I will say. Now, my other comparison for Percy is like Thomas, AEG Percy. Now, I don't have the regular Percy, but this is close enough. This one came in the Bruno pack, so yeah. Again, these ones are more comparable in terms of scaling, although this Percy is smaller, I will say, than AG Percy. Like, if you back it up, these two are, one is way bigger than the other. So, I think that's, I don't think there's anything else to really say for Percy. Like, Percy's just Percy. I'd say his proportions here are better than any other Percy. So, yeah. So, let me get some batteries in these two, and we'll give them a run on the layout. And then in the next video, we'll look at the other engines, Gordon, Henry, and James. If there's one thing I know about Thomas fans, it's that they love this. They love the money shot of screwing the train back together. They love that money shot. Alright, now let's get them running on the layout. Also, for reference, some changes have happened to the layout recently. So, yeah, I can't run engines on that side because the hill is dysfunctional. But I have a new harbor loop on this side of the layout, so I'll run the engines on that. Seems we've been having some problems on the layout. So I had to do some error corrections in the top corner there. Looks like Thomas had a bit of a crash back there. Percy's doing his job. Well, you know, Percy's doing such a good job by himself. But, we can't end this episode without a crash, and Thomas is just waiting here, so... Oh, are you kidding me? Somehow neither of them crashed. Let's, Oh! Oh, Thomas is down. Thomas is down. Alright. Get them going that way. Whoa! Oh, looks like Thomas has a bit of... Oh! And Thomas is down. Thomas is down. Die, Percy! There we go. I got him. So, yeah, that's basically all I have to say so far when it comes to at least Thomas and Percy. I will do a follow-up video sometime, maybe later this week or next week or something where I review Gordon and then push along James and Henry. Also, I will work on this layout. This is ridiculous. Like, these engines can't run without accidents. So, I will probably just do. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys want to see like maybe some shorts where I just run trains? Because that'd be kind of interesting for me. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in part 2 either later this week or next week. Toot toot, triangle triangle. Eh. Oh, Thomas. Oh, Percy.